China, you'd probably get
but unfortunately, in
but we
places,
can do that here.
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah, here we can do it. But if you're trying to look at like a global scale, unfortunately, in some countries such as China, the government kills off those who, or imprisons those who oppose them.
But here we have this problem because in America, I get the feeling it's not like, oh, it's the government's fault that we're polluting the environment. I kind of get the opinion that it's the corporation's fault. But then in China, you know, I don't know what you're saying. Like, are you saying it's the government's fault that they're polluting the environment, or it's the corporations?
Well,
because
it's the government, because the government runs the corporations. The corporations run through the government.
That's why if you had a sound government, they could, who cared about the environment, then they could run the corporations in a positive way that isn't detrimental to the environment.
Unfortunately, fortunately, that can work here. But as I'm saying, you can't just America only uses 25 to 30% of, or contributes only 25 to 30% of our waste to destroying the ozone or destroying the environment.
That's too much.
It is too much, but
or 5% of the population, of global population, 5%.
Yeah, but we're only 5% of the global population. We also, if we're trying to help the environment, like as a whole, in a global view, you got to look at everybody. Because yes, America's a big part, but it's not the only part.
But actually, you have a good point there because we have 5%.
He talks.
And back. Yes, I do. Back to China. China has a third, and China, I'm not sure about the statistic, but it pollutes, but not more than double what we have, and they have astronomically more times population than we do. So actually, if you look per capita, we're kind of the worst polluters.
Yes, but even if we, like I said, even if we fix ourselves, there's the rest of the world to think about.
And also the standard of living, unfortunately, is much lower in China and India and densely populated countries. So yes, they're not polluting as much. They're not polluting as much per capita, but that's because they don't have SUVs and they don't have big homes to heat and cool, and they don't need electricity and stuff like that. So it's like, well, are you going to sacrifice your standard of living, or are you going to sacrifice your pollution?
I think like it's not just that problem, but there's also the problem of a lot of people in America, they're lazy and they have this view, why do I care? I mean, even if the environment's being destroyed, I'm going to be dead before, you know, all hell breaks loose. Like such people as my dad, he doesn't really care. He's like, he doesn't recycle because he doesn't really believe in it, and he doesn't do like things to help the environment because his view of living is, okay, I'm going to be alive for another, what, 30, 40 years? Who cares?
See,
so it has to be us who cares, because by the time we get older...
Ooh, stop it.
Okay, so I was about to say, back onto the corporations and government thing. See, we have the whole, woo, democracy, yeah, thing going on over here. But the problem is, with democracy comes, of course, well, with any government, corruption. But the corruption here is much more, how should I say it? Not overly apparent, but not mild. Not overly apparent, but
I don't see any corruption at all. I mean, I think
it's not the corruption that
what's corrupt is the corporations.
Exactly, and corporations have lobbyists. The lobbyists go to the politicians, and the politicians will, if they're given enough money, will go like, I think we should approve a bill.
Instead of corrupt, I'd say capitalist. You know, they're kind of.
Well, our country is very capitalistic. We're all proud about how capitalistic we are. The problem is with capitalism, we have like we have George from Lumber Jim Snacks or whatever coming over and saying to I don't know,
Bailey?
No, Bolshevik. Hey, Bolshevik, do you want to have an extra 20 million to your income this month? Well, how about you approve Bill 29, where we can chop down 28% of the Chelsea forest to make more paper and other waste products, while you can go and have fun in the Caribbean.
Exactly. It's a substitution of morals for cheap
pleasures.
Cheap pleasures. It's hedonistic, really.
See, it's a different kind of corruption. It's not capitalism isn't so much socially corrupt as it is morally corrupt. Like you hear all the time about government scandals, people doing really nasty things.
Like having sex without their wife.
Elliot Spitzer.
Which isn't capitalistic, by the way. That has nothing.
Clinton.
I'm sorry, I
That has nothing to do with capitalism.
That
Well,
doesn't
still
have anything to do with politics,
Yeah.
but it does show that their moral compass points south, and then what does that mean about the rest of their politics? I don't know.
I don't know why, but this sort of brings me back to the book The Jungle by
Good read, by the way. Read it. And if you don't know how to read, learn to.
What's his name? Who wrote The Jungle? Sinclair.
Upton Sinclair.
There we go, Upton Sinclair. He wrote a book based on the corruption of the government in the meatpacking industries.
Oh,
But-
I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
So
Didn't they make a movie on that?
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
really hope not.
I really hope not too. I'd rather not see bodies falling into pits of meat and being churned in and served to the American people.
Exactly. The people making the money don't care about the people eating their products, so they don't care about if there's health consequences or anything like that. So it's like a schism. You have the big population of people who are accepting or who are consuming the products, and then you've got the little amount of people who are making all the money, and they're like, oh, I don't care. I'm just gonna do whatever and not be responsible for my actions.
And sleep with my wife.
That's
Okay.
Okay,
With
so
my friend.
on to the next question.
Yeah,
Speaking of governments and industries, they obviously need to make massive changes if we want to help the environment. Most of it is because of the governments and industries, such as making new laws, the industries having to build like solar panels or other environmentally friendly things. So how could helping the environment help the economy with the environmental projects?
Well, that's true. I think, like when we were talking about before, all of the jobs in the oil industry and everything, they're going to run out basically sooner. Well, later more than sooner, but they're eventually going to run out. So if we're smart, we're going to be proactive about it, and instead of just using it all till it runs out, why don't we have that infrastructure change to alternative energy, like even nuclear power.
Yeah.
Would it, because science research and
Nuclear power is a lot safer now.
I mean
Yeah.
Yeah, but all the waste.
I know the
They
waste.
found a way to recycle a lot of the waste, actually.
And
There's still going to be waste.
yes, everything. There's going to be waste with everything. There's waste with the air if we use
It's
air
just-
power. There's
yeah.
waste if we use solar power. There's
Unfortunately, with solar power, so much pollution is created just making the panels. Like
Yeah.
it's so expensive to make the panels, and it takes so much pollution that it's almost like.
But anyways, like
not even
caring about like
positive.
since we care about the money and like the money is all about it and everything, that's what'll get to most people. If we go more environmentally friendly, there's going to have to be a lot of new changes in installations and all kinds of stuff like that, which means new jobs. There's lots of people out of jobs right now, so.
But unfortunately, yes, there's a lot of people out of jobs, my dad being one of them. But what people don't look at is people are trying to fix the job problem now, when the problem with the environment and opening new jobs to help the environment is probably not going to happen for years.
Consider the Civilian Conservation Corps. That was founded at the height of the Depression. Thousands of young men were out of jobs, so they went and they cleaned up. They built dams, which not the most environmentally friendly project, but they went and they cleaned up riverbeds, and they just made a positive impact. So if we kind of made like a 21st century version of that, we could put them to work cleaning up, oceans, oil spills.
But unfortunately, a lot of men and women losing their jobs now are older people. I mean, the
I think
CC
they could still do
well, they could, but the CCC and corporations like that, if we make a new 21st version of the CCC, it is mostly trying to get young people into jobs because they can do more.